Did you know the food you throw away costs you more than $1,300 a year? And that food waste takes up more landfill than anything else? Maybe your leftovers sit forgotten in the fridge, seem unappealing the next day, or you don't want a rerun. I'm here to help. I'm Diane Watson, the Leftover Chef, and I'll show you how to quickly transform your leftovers into new and delicious dishes. Let's get cooking. Hi everybody, welcome to Leftover Chef. I'm Diane Watson. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to take something that I featured on a Leftover Chef quick hit and turn it into a delicious dish. Now the quick hit is a new thing that I started on Instagram and Facebook, where instead of a whole video, I just do a couple of pictures of something that I took in my fridge or pantry and turned into a new dish. Last week I turned a very sad looking bag of potatoes into a delicious mashed potato dish. These potatoes were starting to get shriveled. They had eyes growing out of some of them. So I cleaned them up, boiled them, mashed them, added sour cream and cheddar cheese and garlic powder and made a delicious garlic mashed potato dish. So now we're going to take those mashed potatoes and turn them into potato pancakes. Before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to my viewer Carmen, who sent me this picture of the mashed potatoes she made when she saw the quick hit on Instagram. Don't they look delicious? Great job, Carmen, and thanks for sending that in. Anytime you guys make anything from the Leftover Chef series or quick hits, send me a photo. I'd love to feature it on an upcoming episode. So to make these mashed potato pancakes, here's what you'll need. Whatever mashed potatoes you didn't eat from when you made the mashed potatoes, 1 egg that we're going to beat real quickly, and I like to have a little flour around in case the mashed potatoes are too runny to form into pancakes. And you'll need about 3 tablespoons of oil. You can use regular cooking oil, vegetable oil. I'm using olive oil, and get that heated in a medium to large size skillet, because you're gonna want that to cover the bottom of the pan. If you use a smaller pan, you probably won't need as much. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to take the egg and get that in our bowl and beat it up. And the reason I do that is it's easier to incorporate it when it's already beat up a little bit than try to mix it in with the potatoes once you have those in the bowl. Now these potatoes are fully seasoned, they're fully loaded. They have cheese and sour cream and salt and pepper and garlic powder, as I mentioned. And there's about 2 cups here to 1 egg. But what you're gonna wanna pay attention to is once you start mixing these up, the consistency will really depend on what kind of consistency you had in your potatoes already. So you may need to add another egg if your potatoes were especially stiff or thick. And if you like your potatoes a little runnier, then you're probably gonna wanna add a little flour. Now, one thing I will say is keep these mashed potatoes in the refrigerator until you are ready to mix them up and form them into potato pancakes, because it just makes the consistency and it makes them hold together quite a bit more. Now these look a little bit runny, so you'll notice I held back a little of the potatoes. I'm gonna add a little bit more because I want these to be able to form into a ball, and then I'm gonna flatten them before I put them in my skillet. You know, I was really surprised to learn that potatoes are the number 3 most wasted, thrown away food in the United States. In fact, 3 billion pounds of potatoes are thrown away every year. And that would be 6 billion servings of potatoes. That means every person on the planet could have 3/4 of a serving of potato if we didn't just throw these potatoes away. So that's why taking potatoes that you wouldn't normally turn into a baked potato because they just don't look that good, you can make mashed potatoes. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of flour too, because it's still a little too runny for my taste. It's a little bit of an inexact science, but you want it to be kind of like cookie dough. That's a good way to look at it, so that it can hold its shape in a ball or later in a pancake. And one thing that you can do if you see that it's still a little too runny is form your balls and your potato balls and your pancakes, and then put them in the freezer for about 10 minutes, and they should get nice and firm. So you'll see I'm making these rolling them into a ball like you would a big cookie. You don't want to push them down too much. You don't want to squish them too much, just to get them round in a shape so that you can pat them down into a pancake. You want that to be about 1/2 inch thick. Then what I like to do, just to help them be extra crispy when you get them in the frying pan, is dust them in a little bit of flour before you put them in the oil. So let's do this one. Get that in there. And there's no formula on what size to make them. You can make them small as a little side dish. One thing I love to do for breakfast is fry them up in the size of an English muffin and use them in place of an English muffin when you make Eggs Benedict. So that can be a really fun, different thing to do. Now keep in mind that these potatoes were already fully loaded, but if you have plain mashed potatoes, there are so many things you could add to these before you make them into potato pancakes. You could add bacon, cheese of any kind, chives, onion salt, onion powder. Again, you're keeping your heat at a medium-high heat. You don't want these to be in the oil for too long, and it'll probably take about 3 minutes each side, depending on how hot your pan is and how hot your oil is. And I like to make sure that oil's plenty hot before you're putting the potatoes in. If you are health conscious and you have an air fryer, you can also do these in your air fryer at 390 degrees for 10 minutes on the first side, flip it over and do it an additional 5 minutes, and that way you won't need any oil at all. Let me get an assist here. And then you'll notice I have paper towels here so that they can drain before I put them on a serving plate to eat. Okay, these look like they are done. I'm going to turn the skillet off and get these draining. It's just nice to get that extra oil off of the potato pancake so it can stay nice and crispy. Now just imagine all of the different things you could do with this potato pancake. A great side for fried chicken or roasted chicken. Again, it'd be great at breakfast with, you know how I like a little runny egg, or it would be really good in place of an English muffin or any kind of bread for some kind of breakfast dish. I'm gonna add just a dollop of sour cream and a little bit of fresh chives. Take a look at that. Let's see how it is. Oh, it's got a nice crispy outside. Oh. I can't wait for you to make this. Thank you for joining me on Leftover Chef today, where we help you save money and help the planet by keeping food out of the landfill, turning your leftovers into something new and inventive. Be sure to check out Leftover Chef Quick Hits on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll see you next time.